on, huh?
Sorry?
You got a couple things going on.
Yeah, it's been nice. I tell you the nicest thing about having two films here, that they're so different. They're just like, couldn't be more different projects. And, you know, you talk about them in a very different like headspace in a way. So it's quite refreshing to, you know, bounce between the two. You know, it's been cool.
We had Drake and Shailene here just like maybe an hour or two ago, and got into it with them. This is like certainly wildly experimental. Well, maybe not wildly, but certainly very adventurous in terms of filmmaking.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's films. I think like all of us, like when we saw Like Crazy, I just thought he's a very exciting director who, you know, he gets great actors who want to work with him, you know, and you're so intrigued by the process and by what that actually plays out like on set, and you know, it's terrifying is the honest, you know, answer. Like it's yeah, I think it was a sort of 70-page skeleton script that you really stick to in those first one or two takes, because that's what you're used to doing, and you take comfort in, you know, and solace in a script. And then usually after one take, he's like, I don't want you to say anything that's on that paper. And you're like, yeah, okay, right, what happens next? And then, but like the terror is very real for certainly the first couple of days. And then you find your feet with it and you really relax into it, and you feel very liberated and open, and you feel like you can expose much of yourself and emotionally. And it's an incredible process, and I do it again in a heartbeat, you know.
Can I, like, not to ask you like the cheesy actor question, but what did you draw from? Because I feel like for Shay, you know, being a woman who needs to reset her life in her early 30s is kind of maybe closer, but I know you have a family from Ireland. Like,
sure.
How did you sort of find that guy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much Drake said to you, but like, I think with me, and I think he did the same with Sebastian, he kind of left it up to us in terms of who we gravitated towards, in terms of Frank and Jack, and who did you see yourself more as. And I think I'd been talking to Drake a little earlier than Sebastian, so I know that Drake was like, when I read the script, he was like, who did you like more, and who do you want to be more? And I was like, oh wow, because I'd only sort of read it as Jack, and I guess Jack's like a nicer guy, and I was like, oh, I'll be him. You know, I've played enough sort of bad people in my career, and like, I just thought there's a lot of goodness in him and doing the right thing, and I like to think that I can draw on that from my own life, and you know, I think there's a lot of Jack that kind of, that was sort of close to me in a way, but without, you know. There's some stuff he had to say where, you know, and I ran with it, and one time I really elaborated on it in a take, and it's kind of in the movie, I think, where, you know, I really just don't like the idea of having kids, and, you know, because I think in improv, you end up playing like a kind of yourself in a way, and you take a bit of comfort in that, but a sort of heightened version of yourself, but then there's some stuff that was way, you know, I always knew I wanted to have kids, I love having kids, you know, 3 of them under 6. It's lunacy at home. But Jack sort of was very against that. So, you know, but I guess that's our job, isn't it? To play against, you know, whatever you think.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's funny. I just, when I read the script, I thought that if I'm going to do this, I want to be Jack, and I want to sort of be the nice guy. I
think you deserve the likable guy for once.
Yeah.
Like, not for once, but like, yeah, it's been a minute since you've kind of done that.
Yeah, no, it's true. True.
For a process that is sort of so undefined or very liberally defined, I'm curious. You know, I think honesty is at the center of the whole thing. Yeah. So when it comes to stuff like the intimacies and love scenes, which I know you are not a stranger to, so how does that work in a completely indie film environment, as opposed to what I imagined is on a Universal set for 50 Shades is like the most coordinated, choreographed. Yeah, I think you're right. It's much more relaxed, and but I think, to be honest, even aside from doing intimate scenes or sex scenes or whatever, the way Drake sets run, they're very sort of fluid anyway, and very relaxed, and oftentimes you wouldn't really know where the camera was. You know, it was all very, it wasn't like
we didn't shoot it very traditionally in terms of like, we'll do a master and then we'll come in for coverage and we'll do your side thing. Often the camera would just be sort of floating around and you sort of see it just like come around and make sure the room was clear, and it would just appear, you know, in a lovely way. And again, very freeing to work like that, you know, and not be, you know, sort of strict in terms of how they're shot, and everyone has to look so fucking good. Like, he needs more makeup under his eyes, he looks tired, like all that stuff that in independent film, and why I love making independent film, doesn't matter. They want you to look like a real person and not like some like weird aspirational robot. But you know, yeah.
So you and Shay obviously just would have to trust each other, right?
Yeah, totally. And Shay is the most, like, you know, you instantly feel comfortable in her company, and she has a very unique warmth. She has a, you know, that made those scenes easy, and actually we were just like giggling a lot and laughing, trying to make, you know, because, you know, for the most part, that intimacy is light, and it is, you know, of course it can be passionate and everything, but it comes from a place of like love and trust, and you know, we were trying to, you know, manufacture that as much as we could, but a lot of that just came from trusting each other and instantly liking each other. And Shay, you know, like Shay's one of those people who's just like, I'm just sort of bowled over by how nice she is, like, you know, and it's all so genuine on set and stuff. And some actors, you can see them sort of overly compensating and being nice to all the crew in a way that just does, I'm not buying it. Do you know what I mean?
Totally, yeah.
And the way they say hello to the crew in the morning and go right each one, I'm just like, oh wow, you're doing that because you want people to like you. And then Shay does that in just the most natural, like, you know, way, and it's so genuine, and she's got so much heart and so necessary to play Daphne. I mean, and Shay came in 2 weeks before we started filming.
Wow.
You know, it was meant to be another girl.
She was
and
last on, wow.
Last on. And then there's not a frame in the movie she's not in, you know. I couldn't believe what she did and how well she did it, and how the day she had to shoot, you know, it was incredible. Yeah.
Well, now to your other very lovely and lighthearted film, Synchronic.
Yeah. That's a trip.
Much different, yeah. I mean, that's...
those guys are very exciting directors to me, and I feel like in a very, very fortunate to be in a position where I have a bit of say over what I do, a bit of choice over the jobs I take, and I want to make the most out of that, and I want to work with directors. You know, you want to work with some old guard, established directors, and you want to work with directors you've admired for years, and then you want to work with people who are coming up and they're exciting, and they have their own thing going on, their own fan base. And you know, Justin and Aaron, they have a following, you know, this like very sort of like feverish following of people who love what they do, you know, and love their movies. So it felt like a very cool thing to be a part of. And one of my agents at UTA is a younger guy who used to be like my agent's assistant, and now he's an agent in his own right, and he is just really into like finding those guys and you know, getting you in a room with these guys who, you know, having his, you know, ear to the ground with these young talented filmmakers. And I watched The Endless, which I think is a really incredible piece of work, considering they made the budget they made it on. So it blew my mind. I was like, you know, they were palatable sci-fi. So, but I read the script and I cried at the end of it, and I was like, wow, I did not expect to cry reading a science fiction movie. And Anthony Mackie and I were meant to do another thing a couple of years back, and it sort of didn't materialize. So I'm a big fan of his, so I wanted to make that work.
Are you guys friends in real life? Because it really worked between you two, I thought.
Oh, I'm glad you're saying that.
Yeah,
No, yeah, I mean, we hanging out all the time. No, I mean, I actually haven't seen him since we filmed, but because we've both gone on to other things, whatever. But also we had no rehearsal time really together. One of those things, just schedule-wise, we're just sort of thrown into it. And there you go, you've been friends for 20 years, and action. But I love him. He's brilliant, and I think he's got the most incredible presence, and he's a very effortless actor. And I loved working with him. It was great.
I would definitely want to ask you about Carmen, but before we move on, I just think that even just what you're doing here at the festival sort of shows this really great range of taste and sort of experimenting on your part. Do you feel like this is sort of a new chapter for you after this like massive franchise, and is it something intentional?
You just I just try to sort of follow my gut a little bit, and you know, I feel like it's a good thing to, you know, most of the best scripts are indies.
Yeah.
I love working in that environment of like 5 to 15 million, that kind of budget, where you could always do with an extra week on the schedule, but you're definitely not getting it. And it's sort of kick bollock scramble to finish every day. And I think that brings out the best in people, from actors through to, you know, craft service. I mean, everyone, the whole crew just rallies. Yeah. And I love being a part of that energy. I come from quite a sporty background, and like I feel like that's what it's like, you know, and there's like 10 minutes left of the game, right, and you're down by 2 point whatever, put it into whatever sport you want. And that thing of like looking around the room, or looking around the pitch, going, we have to make this work, let's do this. I think that's what independent film's like at a certain level, and I thrive on that. But then, you know, it's, I've just come off a studio movie, finished filming 2 weeks ago, big comedy at Lionsgate. So I think it's good to keep dipping your toe into the studio system. And by the way, you can't get to make and be financed around in independent film if you're not.
Absolutely.
Putting the numbers up in studio movies. So, you know, it's kind of like, I just like the balance of it, you know, and finding stuff that challenges me. And, you know, I feel like, particularly in the last year, and everything I have on my slate ahead of me is very diverse and very, very different, but it wasn't totally intentional.
Surely. And I have to let you go, but okay. So Benjamin Millie PA, it's so exciting that you guys are going to do that together. Are you going to like sing, dance, do the whole nine?
I have a little bit of movement. I wouldn't call myself the most naturally gifted dancer, but I move a bit and I sing a little, and I'm very excited by that. Awesome. I think he's going to, you know, be a very talented filmmaker.
We cannot wait.